We're talking about
48 Hours 3.
40 Hours 3.
Oh, yeah, that's what the world's been asking for.
I'm asking for it.
I mean, maybe Eddie Murphy will be funny again?
Hey, watch yourself.
Oh, yeah, we don't want him coming after us.
I just didn't know Nick Nolte was still alive.
I'm Nick Nolte. I'm still relevant. Ah, shit.
Would be another a third movie. Would be another good.
I've been doing a lot of Shakespeare in the park.
I feel like your version of Nick Nolte is like your version of somebody else's version of
It
Nick
is.
Nolte. All right.
It is an impression of an impression. Kind of like when you do George Bush Sr., you're basically doing Dana Carvey doing him.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your weekly podcast that delivers a minute-by-minute breakdown of the 1986 Transformers movie. This is episode 17. We're covering minute 1601 to the 17-minute mark. And joining me are my putrid, stench-soaked chums. And by chum, I mean they are actual chunks of fish refuse used for attracting sharks. Caleb and Ryan, say hello.
I am Ryan.
I'm not saying hello today.
Caleb's upset because we closed the blinds and now he can't see outside. If you've listened to our episode, I think it was 3 episodes ago, you know that he needs sunshine
I like to
Superman.
look outside. I want to look outside.
Without the sun, Caleb morphs into an infant. This is just an experiment to see if it makes our sound any.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be indistinguishable, but
I
you
hope
said
it doesn't work.
you said episode 17. Look at my notes. I fucked it up again, where I was like, "This is episode 17. This covers minute 15 to 6. Nope, 16 to 17." And then I wrote Jesus underneath it.
Thank God it was you and not me. One quick note of thanks I'd like to give at the top of the show here. There's a Twitter follower at Close Kuntosh. It's really more of a shout out, I suppose, than a thanks. At Close Kuntosh.
Is it pronounced Countach?
Yeah, like the car.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this Countach
Lamborghini
car.
Countach?
The car that everyone wanted in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
DeLorean.
Well, that and a Ferrari too. Yeah, those are the 3 cars I know.
Okay, sorry.
So he just sent us a link, turned me onto his music. Basically, Close Kuntosh is a concept band consisting of, from what I can tell in the research I've done, Sunstreaker and Sideswipe sharing lead vocals, along with Blue Streak, Trax. Bumblebee is on drums. Blue Streak and Trax are on guitar of some sort. I don't know who's bass and who's rhythm or who's lead or whatever. But the style is kind of a post-grunge, new metal, alt-rock, and that I'm not necessarily a fan of the genre, but I love the work that is coming out of this. It's just some fun stuff, and I just want to do a quick shout-out. I got nothing else to say about it.
Cool.
A quick recap from our last episode. We dipped our toes into the Rumble is Red frenzy. Frumble
is red, Rinzy is blue.
We dipped our toes into the Rumble is Red, Frumble is blue controversy. I spent some time hating on Ratbat. I don't know if anybody hates Ratbat like I do.
Why do you hate Ratbat?
He does
just
nothing.
redundant.
He just flops around.
He just flops around being there.
Fall
He's
acid.
good in the comics. And we discovered that Bluster?
Whoa.
We discovered that Bluster has tapes.
You are having an episode.
Did you guys know Bluster had tapes? And those tapes originally consisted of mystery characters that are now lost to time. And that's all that happened last episode.
That's right. That's all that happened.
And so coming in right at the top of this episode, we see Bluster's tapes getting into it with Soundwave's tapes. Right off the top of the... Right at the top of the minute.
Perceptor's in trouble.
Perceptor is in trouble.
They're all ganging up on him.
That's right.
Like, they're not attacking Blaster at all.
The tapes are all attacking the fuck out of Perceptor.
And so Eject jumps in over Perceptor's head and then enters again from the left.
Yeah.
So there's another coloring issue, which is all over this movie.
Yeah.
Shooting Ravage.
Right, yeah, two blue guys. I do like how who I assume to be Eject. He launches off
Yeah.
of Perceptor's back to take out, I believe it. So Ramhorn takes out Ratbat.
It's Frenzy, yeah.
Or Ramhorn takes out Ratbat. Eject takes out Frenzy. Then you've got Ravage kind of coming over to the side of the screen and being fought back by Rewind, who should be black but is blue in this animation error ridden segment of the show.
I like this scene because it's alluding to action that's happening off screen.
The explosions.
Well, and also like you see the Ravage like running and then kind of pausing halfway off and backing up and wide, and then he comes on and then he chases Ravage, and
that's true. It is very cool in that it sets up there is a world happening around.
Yeah, and Perceptor's like looking off screen like whoa, even scratches his head like it's almost comedic. Like he's like, whoa.
Perceptor is not a great fighter.
It was a cool. For some reason this was a cool little sequence.
What captured my imagination in this one is the explosions off screen. Like you still hear the explosions, you see the flashes coming in, so it's like I liked this a lot.
Perceptor says, "Do you think we got through to Prime?" And Blaster says, "I hope so. We're all going to look like burnout toaster ovens." Mm-hmm. I first of all, I like that simile. I never really thought of that as anything creative, but I kind of like that simile that they have. But so they have that quick exchange, and Perceptor shakes it off. To your point, just a second ago, cool. There continues to be really amazing background animatics, flashes, that kind of thing to indicate, there's still a strong battle going on all around them.
Also, I will say their base is in the background. They are in the Rocky Mountains or something. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day.
It's such a beautiful day for such horrible things to be happening. I really wish that Ravage is. We're looking right now at 1614, where you see the tapes fighting, and I really wish that Ravage had even once launched those rockets on his hips.
Right.
Yeah, he never really does.
No, it's a real missed opportunity.
Maybe he did in the cartoon, and we just.
I don't remember it ever happening because ever since I've ever seen him, I'm always like I wanted that to happen.
So the camera pans as we're alluding to around 1614, and we see the tapes continue to battle on an elevated platform, but the same guys are battling the same guys, and it looks like Rumble's in trouble. Eject and Frenzy are fighting it out, and Ratbat's still just floating there,
just
guys.
Hanging out.
Just kind of chilling. Nothing
around.
The other thing, Ratbat, I feel like every time he's on the screen, they use 2 frames of animation.
Yeah.
Wing up, wing down.
It looks like 8-bit animation from like Castlevania.
It's really bad. But anyway, so
then we do a hard cut where it goes to black, which I assume is a cut for it's meant to passage of time.
I think so. You get another nice overhead sort of angular shot of the Decepticons flying around the city. We've got, by my count, we see Dirge, Thrust, Blitzwing, Bone Crusher, and Long Haul. I like this sequence. There's a lot of great explosions.
A lot more damage.
I think some time, they fade to black for a little bit. I think time has elapsed.
You mean like I just said?
Oh, God, I really wasn't paying attention at all, was I? Oh, boy.
Yeah, because you can also see a lot more damage to the city and stuff, so yeah.
That's a good question for later on. How long was this siege? We're going to say a day or
it goes overnight. It goes overnight.
So 2 days?
That's
2-day fight? 2-day battle?
That's a known thing.
Well, you see later on that it goes dark outside and then comes back to dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, that's a long fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like that climactic final scene in Glory.
Oh, that movie's
taking
sad.
over that fort. All right, well, so
guys, watch Glory. That's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington. Let's not forget Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, and the guy from The Princess Bride.
Carrie
Elwes.
Yeah,
you don't like him in that movie.
No, he's not.
What?
No, is it? Is he the? No, he's Matthew Broderick's friend.
He's Matthew Broderick's friend, but he's like the racist. He's still a racist.
No, that's a different guy.
That's a different guy.
Okay, my bad.
They run across a different division, and there's a guy in a straw hat, and they figure out that he's not running things very well.
After the sky attack angle, which, as I was saying, lots of great explosions. We're gonna see Blur, and this is I like this sequence here where Blur is popping in and out of some various windows, taking some shots. It's very well-worn territory for us.
Finally, they're shooting the big guns.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Well, with Blur, he's complaining about how there's Decepticons all over the place, and it's well-worn territory for us to say, are there really that many Decepticons overwhelming the
Show
place?
me the cons.
But that is what he's talking about. There's still great animation, great motion
Now-
effects.
Now, is it morning here or the?
I think it's getting to
I
be
think it's
evening.
dawn. I think it, or yeah,
Is
or
it
This
dusk?
part, I
dusk,
think-
dusk,
dusk,
if you will.
yes.
I think it's dusk.
Okay, cool.
And so, okay, that sequence where Blur's shooting, and then they cut to this. In my mind, forever.
1627.
That's right. Thank you. This cannon is shooting at Blur. That's what it feels like to me, because you have him talking. No, well, hear me out. You have him talking, and then it cuts to this, and you're still hearing voiceover, but now it's so. In my mind, it was always like, oh, we're switching to Blur's perspective, and then it shoots at him. As a kid, I was like, oh, because he's annoying. They're shooting at him, which makes none of the sense. But also that, yeah, it still irritates me from a filmmaking standpoint. I think it's I think it's confusing, but maybe I'm the only one.
Doesn't bother me. I think it's just showing that guns are blazing all over the place and that there's just a lot of fighting. Who's that? All
Hang
right,
on, no, we're not anywhere
sorry,
yet.
sorry.
I jumped ahead.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing I'd say about that is that the cut right after that gun fires is at a group of Decepticons running towards the city, and it's clear from the next angle that shows up
That it's shooting at them. Yes,
that it's shooting
I
at
agree.
them.
I just think it's confusing.
because I'm assuming it's that gun.
Yes, it is.
Right? It's so at
1621
1621 at the overhead kind of sky screen shot we were talking about a minute ago, you could see the only animated piece you can tell by the texture that's not painted like the rest of the background is. That's the gun and it's firing on Decepticons flying around the city. Blur does his thing.
He's
shooting.
underneath the gun.
And then
I get it.
Yeah, because right there.
There's
Yeah.
some of those, and actually go back and see. Go back to where
Very
he's shooting.
interesting.
Go
Yeah.
back to where he's
We're gonna have to clean this up and
Look at the top
for
of the screen.
clarification.
We'll say in just a second. Yeah.
Just when while he's shooting, look up above him.
So he's in these windows right here.
Yeah.
So
At 1619, underneath the gun.
underneath the gun, you'll see. I never actually figured that out.
No, me neither.
The only reason I figured
Blur's
it out is
geography.
push play.
Okay.
And while he's shooting, just keep playing it.
Okay.
Just for a while.
All right.
See, look up
Oh!
above.
Oh, you can see the gun
At
over
si-
his
yeah,
head.
at 1622, where Blur's shooting through the windows, you can see the
That's
turret
why
on
they
top of
show
it
that.
turning.
Okay, this is all very
Interesting.
confusing for those who aren't watching the screen right now. But essentially, at the overhead shot, there's a gun firing at Decepticons flying around. Then you've got the scene where Blur starts shooting through the windows. And if you look above Blur, you can
Just
see
barely
the
in
turret.
What a
just barely
strange
in
thing to
screen moving
animate,
around.
though. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, very
Interesting.
interesting.
all right.
But I understand your point, Ryan. But and maybe it would have made it more clear
If he's in the
if
yeah.
in 1626 when you see that cannon and the fucking awesome looking laser blasts that it does.
Yeah, if
you'd have seen Blur just kind of shuffling about over there at the windows, maybe
Yeah,
that would have made
listeners,
some...
if you look to the far right, that's the windows that Blur's
that's what's
shooting
going
from.
on.
Oh wow, what a revelation!
Yeah.
So the cannon, the turret
shooting
that you
at
see
the
is shooting
Decepticons.
Right.
at some Decepticons. You see Megatron, Kickback, Thrust, Soundwave, Starscream, Shrapnel, Blitzwing, Skywarp. All the guys are kind of advancing down this hallway. I'm pretty sure that's all the Decepticons, by the way.
Dirge and Ramjet too.
Yeah, so they're all walking down this hallway and
Not really
passageway,
a hallway,
passageway,
like a ravine of sorts.
Yeah,
So sure.
a lot of ravines in this city.
a trench, if you will.
Sure.
All of the Constructicons are there. And then we cut to inside the city. We see Springer entering the room. He's running towards what appears to be some kind of catapult or crossbow-inspired rocket propeller.
I was just gonna say, and I'm sure you're getting ready to bring up that Arcee is dragging some dead Autobots into this room. And if you look at 1634 to the far left, that is drawn like Wheeljack, but is colored like Smokescreen. And in the script, it is Smokescreen. So I just think
is that
Who is
right?
she pulling?
that's Windcharger.
Why isn't anybody helping her pull?
Well, presumably they're the only ones in this area of the city.
What I'm assuming that they're doing, this is a little pre-script deviation, but I assume that they were supposedly trying to clear bodies out of the way for this to be able to move the cannon.
I think she was pulling...
Because honestly, there's no reason for her to be doing that at all. They're dead. Leave them there. There's better things to do right now.
Is Smokescreen, whoever she's pulling...
Windcharger.
Is Windcharger dead or
He's
injured?
dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. So we see Springer. He runs towards the cannon and he starts to the catapult. Catacannon.
I got a lot. Actually, I mean, you don't have to necessarily go back, but it is interesting to see that this catapult presumably has been being used because you can see empty shells like scattered around it.
Sure. Perhaps Wheeljack and Windcharger were using it.
But now, okay, here's my thing. One, why isn't it on a gimbal where it can just turn? It's even in a circular room. Two, it has tank treads. A tank has a 0 turn radius. It could, unless it's dead. I don't know. It bugged me.
Okay.
Floro Dery, why did you design this monstrosity?
Just take the tank tread. It's a real there's no other way to move it. What?
That's fair because I'm getting bothered by that they're having Arcee drag the dead bodies around because she's a female. She's compassionate.
Yeah. I think that originally, though, it was functional. I think they were meant to drag those dead bodies out of the way of this cannon, and they just in the translation to the animation, it didn't work out.
And yet, no, that's later actually. Gosh, no, never mind.
Springer starts to push the cannon. Arcee continues to pull out. We see up close that Windcharger obviously took a very strong shot to the chest that did him in, and also the right arm looks like it got a nice little contusion. But I'd say the chest is probably the most worrisome.
So we're getting. I remember this. We're getting exposed to mortality again.
Yeah. Once again, yes, and in a way that is we did a poll. It wasn't a very scientific poll on our Twitter site about what the most gruesome death was, and the sample size of 7.
That's right.
Said that the prowl, the Autobot ship, was even more devastating than the Prime death. But we listed this one, and this one to me is pretty dark.
Gross.
Just because you don't see. You don't know how it happens. You just know that it's like, man, it happens every day.
I remember
it happens every day, and you don't see it.
When they cut to when it cuts to her looking over at Wheeljack and Windcharger.
Yeah, right there.
Here.
At 1645.
This
Wheeljack is fucked.
Yeah, and I remember when I was watching this scene always really disturbed me.
It's pretty messed up.
Because I just not seen dead Autobots or dead Transformers lying around. Like now on the Autobot ship, it shows them dying, but then it just doesn't show like dead Transformers
corpses
laying around.
Yeah.
And actually, the weird thing is when I was little, I thought they had pushed that whatever that weapon
catapult.
is. I thought they pushed that catapult and discovered these guys underneath it.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that's not. But anyway, I remember this scene, this shot more than almost any other shot in the movie for some reason because it really screwed with me because I just wasn't used to seeing dead Transformers.
Yeah, it's a real blink and you'll miss it situation.
Yeah. It's pretty graphic. And they just deal with it, and maybe the thing that's so striking to me is they deal with it so nonchalantly. Like,
yeah, that's the other thing. It's just like boop,
that's
and
it.
Gone. And that's the end of Wheeljack, the creator of the Dinobots,
and presumably the
Autobots.
Autobots.
Yeah, it is a pretty unceremonious end for a major character.
But that's the thing. That's the other thing that really messed with me. Was like after all of this, it's like he's dead now, and then that's it, and it's just like a very existential moment for me.
It really fucked you up. That's why you're like the way you are today.
Just their cold, dead eyes.
That's right.
Just laying there.
Cold eyes. Like a shot, like a dollar's eyes.
So apparently taking it in the chest is like a bad deal for a lot of the that's Wheeljack. That seems to be where his major damage is.
I always thought that that's where the CPU would be just because there's the most shielding in the most dense area.
Sure.
I will disagree with you.
Okay.
And you've mentioned this twice now, but there is in the Transformers animated series post movie where they have no. You tell me there is some animated part of the animated series where they have Optimus Prime's head and they literally move a wire under on his neck and he like comes to life and is talking and stuff.
I don't remember.
Like all they do is have his head.
But I do remember in the comics that's true too. They have his head in one of the things. Yeah.
The ultimate proof is the fact that Unicron is still alive, and he's a
I guess
floating
that's true.
head.
And I mean,
sort of. He's sort of alive.
and also when
talking,
sort
he's
of,
cognizant.
and whenever Wheeljack is building the Dinobots, he puts the brains in their head.
Okay.
So all right, there we go.
I win.
I don't know.
I mean,
this might be a real Rumble is Red controversy.
Yeah.
Where does the soul exist?
Right, and in
Of the
this
Transformer?
and that I'm getting into territory I certainly can't talk about at all. But they don't really talk like the spark is a
The
concept
Allspark, yeah.
that like the spark is their soul
It's
or
actually-
their life essence doesn't really come into play until Beast Wars. They never really that's not a concept in the G1 universe.
That's
so-
true, except it is in the script.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot about it.
And we can talk about this later, but this just brings to mind like there is some sort of strange afterlife.
Yes,
in Transformers.
sure. Yeah.
because Starscream's a ghost.
Starscream's a ghost.
God, spoiler alert.
I mean, if you don't know.
All right, carry on.
So we're really. The other thing is the expression that Arcee gave seconds before you see the shot of Wheeljack and Windchargers. It's like a great job by the animators, the illustrators, of doing giving her a very forlorn expression.
She puts her hand to her chest.
Yeah,
Remorse.
she quickly snaps out of it. She goes to help Springer, and together they continue to struggle to move.
I will say, from a physics standpoint, they're not pushing at the right spot.
No, they should push lower.
Yeah, more toward the front of the catapult, and then Hot Rod is just not helping at all when he comes in because he's pushing in an area that's like that's not helpful.
He's pushing
because they're trying to turn it, not move it.
It'd be fun
really.
if he comes in and starts pushing on the other side.
That's right. And
They're trying.
right.
Yeah, they're trying
So
their
the
best.
gang all comes back together,
Yeah.
or we assume they've been together before, but this is the first time we see the new lineup of like major characters
Working
together in the room together. Everybody's safe. What was a struggle for Springer and Arcee becomes a little bit easier for these guys, and that's where the minute ends.
Does Daniel help?
Daniel comes in the next second.
Spoiler alert.
Well, no, let's find out. Is Daniel going to
Well,
help
we're
him
at the end
push?
of the minute.
Well, let's
Or
just
is he gonna be a
say
lazy
he
little-
does because
Yeah.
they're going to exhibit. He's going to exhibit that he cares.
I was
and
getting ready to get mad at Daniel, but you told me not to do that.
Or Ratbat comes in and just floats there. two frames at a time.
I'm going to say that I want to start a campaign where we get Ratbat together with Shockwave. Like it'll be Shockwave's
Oh my!
companion.
They both need a friend.
just like flapping around
So
him all
in
the
the
time.
comic, I believe they were adversaries. I think they both were in contention for leadership of the
Ratbat
Decepticons.
and Shockwave were fighting
Well,
over leader of the Decepticons.
Ratbat talks in the comic, and he is like Aaron said. And I don't remember if it was this one or the last episode. Ratbat is the leader of the Decepticons for a while.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's a bat.
And in the book, he is fuel obsessed of like getting
Ratbat
fuel.
He's kind of like a
becomes leader-
CEO. He's like
Yeah.
a CEO mentality of the Decepticons.
That's-
He's very obsessed with efficiency and
Ratbat, a bat
right.
transformer, is
He's
the
not
leader.
necessarily depicted as one of Soundwave's tapes
Right.
in the comic book, in the old Marvel. He's his own thing.
That's it.
And I don't remember if they ever show
He's
him
like-
transforming into a tape or not. Certainly,
Yeah.
they wouldn't indicate that he was subservient to Soundwave. Like he's an alpha bot in
That's
the,
very
in the,
interesting.
in
The Marvel
comic
books
book.
are pretty good. They have a lot of. They go into a lot of different stuff. I mean, the IDW ones are great too now. So I mean, there's a lot more.
Someday I'll find out.
Obviously, a lot more. Room to stretch your legs in the books.
They've been around forever at this point. So I don't have any voice actors.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. I do love the voice acting segments, but we can't do it every time.
I just
probably.
don't have one.
That's
We've
okay.
done one, I think, every time. Up
to now, I think.
God, can we just think? Was there a voice?
People that like this to be a shorter podcast are like, thank Jesus.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fine. Then we don't have one. We don't have one.
But you know what it's time for now?
Rip deviations.
All right, let's get into it.
So I know, Ryan, you have a lot. So you
do.
you go for
want me to
it.
go?
And
Alright.
if I've got anything, I will jump
Yeah.
into it.
So there, I actually do agree with a lot of these cuts because you can cut it for time, cut it for pacing. There is, let's see, there's a whole scene that we have now after Blaster and Perceptor. There's a cut, and we see Blitzwing, who is shooting in plane mode, shooting and firing, and then we see from his POV, and he's like, uh-oh, because Power Glide and Warpath are coming right at him.
Awesome.
And yeah, and so basically they take out Blitzwing, they shoot him, and he crashes into the fishing hole.
Yes.
That's right. And it's not, look, it is the fishing apostrophe no G hole. The fishing hole, which is the name of my strip club.
The fishing hole. So he crashes into that big pile of rod and reels at the bottom.
As Blitzwing lands with a hiss of steam as flames crackling out as Powerglide and Warpath lay a final load of bombs on him in the water and blast off.
What are those poor fish?
That's true. What about the trout?
Yeah.
They can never fish there again.
Nope.
And then there is just some more with Megatron. There's another. We go to the wall. Actually, here, Thundercracker and Skywarp they're all like with Megatron trying to pry parts off the wall, and then into the breach, like we see Sunstreaker, Hound, and Bluestreak. Sunstreaker's a real problem. Hound and Bluestreak come out and start fighting them. And this Bluestreak steps out with a laser saber and cuts Thundercracker in half with a roar as Skywarp throws himself on Bluestreak, and Decepticons swarm in. Hound, using a blaster from low position, cuts off the Decepticons' legs, toppling them, still fighting as they... It's a bit complicated as to what happens there. I'm not...
Wait a minute, so he blasts their legs off, and they're like...
I don't think off. I think he just knocks them over because he shoots their legs.
Still fighting, though.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a scene... We're back on the munitions factory on Cybertron, where Optimus Prime is getting ready to launch, and this is actually something we see later. The Bumblebee is trying... which... he was on the other moon, so that's a continuity issue there. But Bumblebee is trying to get the Dinobots into the ship, and they don't want to go. They're just being dicks, which we'll see later again. Mm-hmm. And Grimlock's like, me, Grimlock, not take orders. And then Bumblebee's like, no offense, Grimlock. It's just that we need your strength to save Autobot City. But more than that, we need your strategic intelligence. And he's trying to like butter him up. That's right. And it works.
Is he patronizing him?
No, he's like flattering him because it says Grimlock, parenthesis, flattered, lets little Bumblebee lead him on board. Me Grimlock understand. Me Grimlock make clever plan.
Oh boy.
Which that was almost sounded like a Yoda voice I was doing there. Then there's Optimus, take charge of operations while we're gone.
Says that to Bumblebee?
Says that to Jazz and Cliffjumper.
Okay.
And then there's a whole scene where they fly by that same
take charge of operations. If with the Dinobots pulled out of the plant, who's going to be?
I mean, you just got Spike and Bumblebee, but they're on another moon. Well, not here, but yeah, that's true. Anyway. We're grinding to a real halt there. And then Optimus Prime, they're in the shuttle and fly past the same flight plan that the other shuttle. And
do they see debris or any evidence of the past skirmish?
No. Although Optimus Prime does say, let's see if I can do a voice. Lock coordinates and accelerate. That's terrible. Lock coordinates and accelerate to maximum speed, which is not a thing in space. If you're firing your rockets, you're continuously accelerating. There's no maximum speed. Anyways,
stupid.
As the space shuttle, as the shuttle moves up into view, we pan past a shadowy area next to a dead planetoid, and Astrotrain comes out from it, which I'm like, what? I guess
that's true. We haven't seen Astrotrain to this point.
Yeah,
we know he's going to make an appearance, but we haven't.
So this is where he comes in. Like this is why he shows up, and destruction to all Autobots. 7 S's. And then so he attacks...
He's like Cobra Commander?
Like, yeah, apparently. And so also in this, Bumblebee is on the shuttle. He mans the shuttle controls when they're being attacked. And so, yeah, Astrotrain shoots at the place. Then we go back to Autobot City, and we're back into continuity then.
I'm confused.
So let me just try and summarize. So Optimus and a crew take off to go to Earth to help out. So we see that Astrotrain tries to intercept them at some point and fails, and and that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, they just left Astrotrain in space. You guys,
I guess
Astrotrain. This is Starscream. Guard Earth's atmosphere in case any Autobots decide they want to reinforce these other Autobots who are heavily armed and frankly we're in a precarious position ourselves. But in case any other Autobots show up, Astrotrain, it is your sole duty. If the strongest Autobot, Optimus Prime, were to show, it's your job to destroy him.
So you're just assuming that so I'm just gonna wait on this asteroid. They're just gonna assume that somebody's gonna come. I mean, I could help. I could come to the city and help to attack Autobot City. If but no, I'll just wait.
The only script deviation that I have is that during the cassette battle sequence, in the last episode we talked about Blaster's tapes and how they changed dramatically from what we see on screen to what they were in my version of the script, which was that today he has 2 little robo dudes, a rhino and a lion. Originally it was supposed to be 1 robo dude, a scorpion, a tiger, and a lion. And well, this is just really a continuation of that, in that Cubby, who eventually or arguably becomes Steeljaw the lion, so he takes out Rumble, so that's basically accurate.
By cuddling him.
It's adorable.
It's an adorable battle. And then Stripes, the tiger, takes out Ratbat. That was Ramhorn that did that in reality. Bolts, this is a funny one. So then Bolts, the robo
tough
guy,
little robot.
He engages Frenzy, he smacks him. Frenzy flies into Stinger, the stinger of the Scorpion robot, and then he gets jabbed, freaks out, and runs away and isn't mentioned. The other thing that I just want to bring up, we mentioned it a few episodes ago, that in my version of the script, which I think is one of the earliest ones, there's no mention of Blur still to this point. So even to now, the whole part about Blur, defending that tower underneath the cannon had not happened. No mention of Blur. Blur doesn't exist yet.
John Machida really fought for that. He wanted it beefed up, that part. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I feel like just somebody like John Machida. Maybe they invented the character around him. I don't know. Is Blur a Diaclone or a Micro Man?
I don't know. He might be. I don't know. I don't think so, because there's no compartment.
Oh, good point. Good point. He's down here somewhere. I've got the old Blur.
I mean, maybe that was something really popular at the time, and one thing led to another, and they're like, we want a real fast talking robot.
I would like to get more into how they develop these new characters, because Ultra Magnus is the only one that I know of that certainly was a remnant of the old Diaclone line. But
John Machida did Micro Machines.
Right. He talks fast.
And we talked about
success.
this before. He also was doing the FedEx commercials that were very popular at the time. And
so the next episode, gentlemen.
All right.
We've got sexual tension. Mm-hmm. We've got the only combiner that exists and ever did exist ever. To pay no attention to Scramble City.
That's right.
So, audience, if you have better things to do than die, please join us.
That was amazing.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Please tell your friends to listen. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn are our platforms as of right now. Follow us on all of our social media. We've got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them at APodDcast. And also, please visit our web presence at AutopodDecepticast.com. iTunes users, please rate, subscribe, say whatever gibberish you want to say. As long as you give us those 5 stars, we love
those 5 sweet stars.
All right, well, thanks, everybody.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.
You guys want to watch this minute?
Yeah.
Are you ready to watch the minute?
All right, everybody take off your panties.
I hate this.
I won't include it.
I don't believe you.
Okay.